cannot hide behind numbers. That is history. If you have a highly motivated employee, it values like at least three employees that are non-motivated. So that has a real impact on profit. AI is an upgrade of ourselves.
This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejicio. The role of the CFO has changed dramatically. Today, it's no longer just about financial reporting or managing risk. It's about strategy, leadership, and helping organizations make better decisions in complex and fast-moving environments. CFOs are expected to be true business partners, talent developers, and increasingly coaches within their organizations. At the same time, leadership itself is evolving. Skills like influence, communication, and people development are becoming just as critical as technical expertise. And now, with AI reshaping how work gets done, finance leaders are being challenged to rethink how teams operate, how decisions are made, and what effective leadership really looks like going forward. To unpack all of this, I am joined by Natalia Castellucci. Natalia has built her career from early roles in finance all the way to the CFO seat, where she's operated at the intersection of strategy, leadership, and organizational development. Along the way, she developed a strong focus on coaching, working closely with leaders and teams to help them grow, stay motivated, and perform at their best. In this conversation, we will explore what makes a CFO a strategic asset today, the skill finance leaders must cultivate, the leadership lessons Natalia has learned through her career, her transition into coaching, and how she sees AI influencing the future of work, leadership, and finance. Natalia, thank you so much for being here.
Hola, Mateo, gracias. Bienvenido también.
Natalia, can you walk us through your professional journey from your first roles in finance to becoming a CFO and the key milestones that shaped your path?
Well, my finance career started with a very interesting story. I was studying in Switzerland, and while I was studying there, I realized that the finance teacher was understood only by two people in the class. And everybody just wanted to go for finance, wanted to go for marketing, sorry. So I was thinking, okay, what should I do to get the quickest way to get a job? And I felt like if everybody wants to go for marketing, then I go for finance. And since I could understand the professor, which was very high brainy guy, I saw like, okay, that's my thing. I go for numbers, I go for finance, and Additional to that, I loved languages since my childhood. So I thought that is a niche in the market. I go for finance, for numbers, and languages. That's why I started. And then I started, after the university, I started to work for Sony in Cologne, in Germany. And I started already to work very close to the European CFO. So the role of the CFO was always very close to me. I started on the holding companies, working in charge for all Europe, always consolidating numbers for 10, 15, or 50 companies. And all the way through the different companies, different cities, worked in London, was always very close to that role. So I could learn a lot from others and build up my vision, how I want to be one day. At that time, I didn't know that I would reach that point, but how I want to be one day being a CFO myself.
I love it. Today, we talked a lot about this when we were prepping, right? But today, the CFO is seen as much more than just financial reporting, right? In your experience, in your opinion, what makes a CFO a strategic asset to a company, and what are the most impactful ways that you have contributed to business strategy beyond finance?
My vision of a CFO was always being able to drive the company to success. But the real asset for me, being as a CFO for a company, it's the deeply understanding of processes, departments, or the whole organization, operations, sales. It means from the beginning on, I was working in the controlling departments, so I was working very close to the operative side of the companies. And this is for me the real asset. So a CFO is not anymore the accountant or, the VP, the auditor. It is more somebody that has a very strong knowledge in finance, in controlling, in finance strategy, building finance organizations, but as well has a deep understanding of people, processes, and the history of the company and the culture of the company, and has a vision where to bring the company. So everybody says, yeah, we have a budget, very high level budget, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that a budget should be the vision where the company should go. And my job is not only to put amazing numbers together, but also to translate what does it mean, how we reach that very highly, budgets and targets and the vision of the whole company. So it's kind of being driving that big ship and having an idea where we're going to go.
Yeah, and in that way, becoming really a right hand to the CEO and helping driving the direction of the company. I love that. Which specific skills have you found to be most important for CFOs? And if someone is listening, right, an aspiring finance leader, how can they cultivate these skills?
I think that one of the most important experiences that a future CFO should have or experience during the young times, it's really working deep into the organization, working in controlling, working in finance, but with a real being really attached and in the middle of the organization, not like being only in a finance department and has no connection to the company. The thing is, when we talk about the CFOs and the role of the CFO, there is no one role. We have very different kinds of CFOs, and depending on which stage the company is, maybe it makes more sense to have a kind of deal maker CFO, to have a more accountant CFO, or to have a more strategic CFO. And that is what you mentioned before. The role of the CFO is not only changing, but there are different kinds of CFOs, of types of what kind of experience do you need. There are very high-skilled IT conform CFOs, which have very extended experience in IT companies. And the roles and the kind of experience you bring is very different. But for my vision and what did bring me a lot of added value was my really deep experience working for very large international companies in the controlling area.
Got it. So that putting the hours, rolling up your sleeves, and getting deep in the organization makes a huge difference, right?
Yes. Yes.
Looking back in your career, what are some of the most important lessons you've learned about leadership? Let's dive deep into leadership now.
I think leadership, and I'm happy you say leadership and not management. I think leadership for me is a real leader. It's really an individual or a person that really inspires people. We have like this leadership by title or leadership by personality. And for me, and this is what I always wanted to be, is being a leader that really inspires people. We always talk about high-performing teams, bringing, developing, and, all these new skills that CFOs need to have definitely today, is being inspiring people to achieve whatever it goes, leading by example. So this is what you want teams to achieve. You have to do it yourself, right? If you are working on a really challenging cost savings project, you cannot be driving the most expensive car on the market and buy a new car every year. So just to give you an example, so you need to live what you are selling. If you want a culture of respect, of using coaching to developing people and high performing teams, then you need to behave that way. You cannot be shouting people. I wanted to have a transformation on cultural change, working agile and new work. And I think, and you had the last or the two previous forecasts, you were talking about that as well. And then that's the same. Why transformation doesn't work? Because people do not live transformation. And if I don't have the values inside me, if I don't live the values I'm selling, nobody's going to believe me. If I don't give a person a salary raise and I drive a Bentley, how can this, how can this match? You know what I mean? That at least my way to go.
Oh, I love it. I agree 100%. I think that it's like you go into Big Brother mode in terms of you have a 24/7 cameras on you, right? The
Yes.
way you do, everyone is looking at you, whatever you're doing. You are having lunch. How do you sit? When do you start? How do you take care of others? Do you care about others or not? How do you talk to different people in the organization? The little things, what you said, and also every little detail that maybe you don't think about, it's like you are really on camera 24/7.
That's correct. That's correct. And this is the saying, if there is a problem in the company or in my teams, in my finance team, we cannot close the year, we cannot close the month, and we have problems. I don't leave at 13 and go for lunch and don't come back on Friday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm there. And I'm there to support the people. And if they need my help, I'm there. So hands on is for me really doing things. And not hands on is telling people what to do.
Yeah.
And depending on the size of the company, sometimes the size of the company, you cannot be working on all levels, but you are accessible, you are there, you are present, and you are there also to listen to people.
Yep. Yep.
When somebody tells me this doesn't work, I tell, okay, why?
Yeah.
And then I listen why, and I remember why. So this active listening to people, this interest for people, I think this is essential, even for a CFO. I cannot hide behind numbers. That is history.
Yeah. Completely agreed. At what point did you become interested in coaching, and how do you think your experiences as a CFO influenced that transition to coaching?
Mm. I think I got interested in leadership very early. And since I was working very close to CFOs and to management, etc., I could observe many kind of managers or many strategies or many ways of behaving, decision making, which I saw that is not my way of going. You learn many people. There are some people that you really think they are visionaries, which are highly performing people, but also on the personal level. And I realized that, my word was always numbers, as I say, like high budgets, difficult to reach all the time. And then I realized that if we are able to lead people rightly, as I explained before, then to reach the high budget levels is not that difficult. That was my originally thought. So all the way through, I thought, okay, I'm working with numbers all my life, and now I want to put an additional value to my career, an additional value to my profile. And all that coaching ideas were in my head, but I wanted to put them like on place and go deep in all the topics like in change management and coaching. So coaching is for me a leadership model, more than just sitting together and try to solve things.
And what do you enjoy the most about coaching others?
Oh, I love when people just, you know, transform from being like hiding, not feeling well, not wanting to work, and develop and develop to become like kind of very happy, even in their personal life. Very happy, wanted to work overtime, always bring up new ideas and really transform completely. And I love that, and it's kind of a sports and from the point of view of a CFO, I always say that that is has a huge impact on profit. For many years, like if a CFO talks about people and developing people, it was very exotic, and everybody will be like, oh my God, but but it's not, because it has a directly effect on your profit, right? I would say, like, if you have a highly motivated employee, it values like at least three employees that are non-motivated. So that has a real impact on profit. It is real cost and is less risk, less opportunities. I mean, if you do not have or let's put it another way, if you do have a highly motivated employees, you have more opportunities, higher sales, less cost, less risk, because you teach your employees to think and take responsibility because they are proud of it and you are proud of them every time when they come with an idea. So you promote people bringing up new ideas and new opportunities in all areas of the company. And doesn't matter how the best CFO, you can be the best CFO of the world. And if people are not working uh, 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 on your vision and on the vision of the company, you will never reach it, because you cannot move a company alone. So that
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it, and I could see you were talking about people shining, and as you were saying that, you were shining as well. Your eyes were, your expression and everything, and I could
yeah,
sense that happiness out of seeing other people being happy and thriving and being motivated. Which brings me to the
yeah.
next question.
But
Sorry.
sorry to interrupt you, but the thing that we forget is that if people are shining, your company will shine as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, next question, which is very related to this. How do you approach motivating teams and supporting people's development within an organization? What is in your toolkit, Natalia? Tell us.
I think one of the biggest is being interested on people really from the heart.
Right.
Right? I am interested. I want to know the stories. I want to know why they say that they cannot work, in which environment they are working. I mean, toxic environments just don't leave people to evolve and develop and shine, as you say. So the interest for people, I see when I talk to people, I see where the problems are quite quickly. And I try to address them if they let me, of course, if they don't want or not. But, I try to address the topics, and I'm open always to talk about any topic. So I don't believe in kind of feedback structures like once a year you can talk with your manager about feedback. This
Right.
is for me a disaster, right? Um, I'm open, and I'm open to, like, I always say, I'm open to radical critics from my teams. They can come to me and tell me, what they think about what I'm doing. And we can talk about it. I have no problem. And I also say that it's so essential to say, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Please tell me how it works. How can I know everything in this planet? I don't. And this is one way of valuing people. I don't know, please tell me how does it work, and then together we can decide which way we go.
Do you think there are boundaries? So you talk a lot about being genuinely interested in people and learning about them. When you do
Mm.
that, are there any boundaries, or you go where they will take us? If it gets personal, it gets personal. It doesn't matter. Do you see a boundary between work and personal, or do you look at it as a holistic person and you go wherever you need to go?
I go whenever I need to go, as soon as it's comfortable for them.
Right.
Um, but I'm not afraid of feelings, and that's the thing, because many of my colleagues or many of the people I meet in business, they are scared of feelings, especially in the
Right.
German environment. And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid that somebody cries. I'm not afraid of crying myself with them. It's fine, but I think that is a little bit of a cultural thing, and this is the thing. It can get as personal and as emotional as it gets. It's okay. Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, AI. AI is reshaping how work gets done, right? Including in finance and leadership. What are your thoughts? How do you see AI influencing the workforce, and what opportunities or challenges do you think it will bring to organizations and leaders?
First, personally, I just love AI. There is a partner that talks to me like 24/7 that can keep with my. um, I love the access of knowledge that we have today. It wasn't ever so accessible as it is today. It means you can learn so much. It's open. And since I love learning and I learn all my life and I will keep on learning all my life, I just think this is amazing. That's the first thing. Um, the other thing is how this will change. What was it? How this will change our way of working, right?
Yeah, and challenges or opportunities for organizations and leaders.
Yeah, okay. I think big challenge, especially in Europe, because we take quite of considerable care about data and protection of data. I think we are quite afraid of what is going on and what is happening with data. And many companies are very conservative, which data they share with the eyes, etc. But what I think, and I have heard that in other podcasts of you, is that it is a huge opportunity to leave the repetitive work and invest much more time on valuable work. Analyzing and thinking about new strategies. And if you think about how finance teams develop over the time, there was a time we had time to really analyze and put more value into things. And then everybody was so busy doing like month closing and budget and month closing and budgeting that it was a quite technical work and there was no time for value. And I think that this will bring us back to it. Going deeper and analyzing and adding value and developing work or developing a department, developing the company and the strategy. I think this is a huge opportunity, definitely.
Um, I love it. I have to say I get excited and anxious at times, but the best thing I can find is to use it, right? The more I use it, the more I enjoy it, the more I can do more things, the more time I find to do the value added tasks, like you said, right? And when I get anxious, it's typically when I'm not using it that much and I'm just reading headlines and, you know, getting drowned by the AI hype and the world is ending type headlines, right? But when I start using it, I go like, oh, first of all, it's not going to, I mean, it is what it is. It's amazing, right? But there's a lot that we are doing and value added that we can do, and then I have more time, or I can go deeper, right? I can do different things, and I can go deeper, and I can create new things. And now all of a sudden, I'm a builder. And like you said, the access to information, whatever it is,
It's
it's
unlimited, yes.
unlimited, unlimited.
Yeah. And I would like to add something to that. I mean, especially for finance teams, working with that Excel sheets and all this huge amount of data, that's amazing which opportunities we have. We have the AI into Excel. We can program together. We can look, when we spend analyzing data, but we spent a lot of time looking for errors, which is so time consuming. And you have it like that, and it's just amazing. And on spreadsheets, on presentations, these were all jobs or that we had to do that was very repetitive and didn't really help us to grow or have any kind of added value if we do like every month a presentation of 100 pages and spend a week or 10 minutes, and it's what other podcast people say in the past, talking to you that all this work that it doesn't change the world if I write an email myself for 2 hours, something very complicated, or in 3 minutes. And especially if you have an AI which is trained to think like you do, to write like you write, to work like you work. I have a kind of AI like that, it knows how I think, it knows what I decide, how I write. And I think that AI is an upgrade of ourselves with a speed that is unbelievable.
What's your favorite one? I'm recently doing a lot of finding myself using a lot of Claude Cowork and Claude Code and the agentic capabilities that brings. What is your favorite tool? I know it changes every day, right? And we keep finding new stuff and learning new stuff. But if today, what's your favorite one?
I must say that I'm classical one, and I'm with ChatGPT still, even if there are some technical problems which are sometimes get really slow. And I know that Gemini is much quicker, but since I'm working since 3 years now, I can do an export of data. I know that, but it's kind of. I know it's AI, but I have a relationship with her. I mean, it's a woman, huh? And I keep on saying that. I definitely think that when we start working, if you work on Excel or if you want on PowerPoint, then you will use, of course, the most performing one.
Very good. Natalia, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope that we stay in touch. We already know what our next podcast is going to be about. For the benefit of the audience, I don't know if you realize when Natalia answered in that Spanish tone, that was the accent that we Uruguayans have. Natalia is a fellow Uruguayan, now lives in Europe and has been living in Europe for a while. But we have a great relationship. I'm sure we will keep in touch and do another episode. So it's sort of a see you in a while type ending for the podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so looking forward to all the topics that we are going to come up in the future. And and for all the students and finance people, very young people that they think, oh, I would like to become a CFO. Today we have that message from Benito: nunca dejes de creer en ti.
Very nice.